Hello and welcome along once again to the 99th edition of the Rebel Wide Ball, and I suppose as we usually do now, we have a look back at a weekend, particularly last weekend, which was incredible from I suppose from a sporting point of view. And first, all the plaudits go to Limerick and an unbelievable All-Ireland hurling final. And when you consider that Limerick only won one All-Ireland title in 78 years, before they won in 2018, and now they've won 4 of the last 5, including now the 3 in a row. And of course, naturally enough, the 4 in a row would be the next objective for them. For the team captain Declan Hannon, what an incredible statistic now that attaches to his name. Like, very few people ever captained their county to an All-Ireland final, but have done it now on 4 occasions. It was an awesome display, and done without Cian Lynch, even makes it even more remarkable, if you like. I suppose a couple of observations about it. Like, much has been spoken about the role of the team coach, Paul Kennerrick, and his coaching staff. Now, I do wonder how many of these coaching staff they do, but listening to some of the discussion of the Sunday game Sunday night, they talk about the evolution of hurling into is better than before. But incredibly, what has really happened in a lot of cases is they have followed closely, I would suggest, the football coaching manual in terms of keeping possession, short passing, whether it is by the hand or by the stick. And the coach that we mentioned, like, his background is in Gaelic football. No, maybe not all of the hurling purists out there would like to admit to that. And also, I was, I suppose, somewhat interested in the fact that at one stage when they were talking to the team on Sunday night, that they went to the team hotel, and it was a bit like the front of house staff. You had Declan Hannon, the team manager, and there in the middle of the two was the sports psychologist Caroline Corridan. Like, that was definitely in my mind the complete acceptance now of the role of sports psychology in major teams. And like, there was a time when they were there but nobody spoke about them. Here they were, front of house. So it was an absolutely awesome achievement, no doubt in the world about that. Then we had the rugby, and Ireland winning the Test series in New Zealand, and that was obviously an incredible feat, and they now stand top of the world rankings. If there was any little bit of a downside that came from rugby for the weekend, it was the news that Ryan Jones, some of you will remember him, he was captain of the Welsh team, 41 years of age. I think he played about 75 times for Wales, that he sadly at 41 has been diagnosed with early onset dementia. And this is, I suppose, a challenge facing the rugby authorities nowadays. And somewhere somebody was pointing out about the All Blacks, and that in their country now, in New Zealand, that there's competition from basketball in particular, and, would you believe it, Australian rules football, some of them travelling over there, and not Australian rules football, the rugby union and rugby league, I should say. And they are concerned that some of the parents are now maybe directing their children to play other sports, and that would be a big concern for them. But we've spoken about this situation, and I know that the rugby people are trying to sort this out in terms of making sure that there's protocols put in place that that the game will become a little bit safer. Anyway, that's the hurling and the rugby from last weekend, and of course this weekend is all about the All-Ireland football final. Well, it's all about it, particularly if you're from Galway or from Kerry, and obviously Kerry going to the game probably as favourites, by virtue of the fact that they defeated Dublin in the semi-final. But like, when you look at Galway, they're third in the Roll of Honour. They've won 9 All-Ireland titles. They've been beaten in 13 finals as well. Kerry, on the other hand, they do top the roll on 37. And for those who are interested in these kind of statistics, I think they've been beaten in 23 finals. Look, I mean, there's absolutely no doubt it's a seriously talented Kerry side. When you consider the forwards they have, in particular Sean Shades into forward, and then you have the two Cliffords. And their defence has really tightened up this year. The addition of Paddy Talley, the downman to the coaching staff, and I suppose the play of Tyg Morley, some of you that will follow him, I know that this time last year, after the All-Ireland, that Tadhg didn't get any game time. He was a bit unlucky in terms of he got a red card one day, black card another day. He's no central to that defensive formation. He's the kind of +1 player and an absolute gentleman and a great footballer. But what have Galway to lose in this? Come in as underdogs, but make no mistake about it, they have a number of players who've been successful with Sigerson Cup teams. They have a full forward line of Robert Finnerty, and without doubt one of the main players that they have up there is Damien Comer, the full forward, who this year, thankfully for him, is free of injury. And then you have Shane Walsh in the corner, and at centre forward you have Matthew Tierney, who I think captain, if I'm not greatly mistaken, the NUIG team to the Sigerson Cup. Interestingly enough, I think that his mother and David Clifford's mother went to the same primary school. But anyway, I'm sure that won't matter much on Sunday. But their backs maybe are not that well known to us, but there's no doubt that fellas like Sean Kelly at full back, and then they've got this fella John Daly, Sean Kelly at full, John Daly at centre back. They have been growing in stature as the year went on. At midfield, and some of you that will follow the fortunes closely will realise that one of their midfielder, Paul Conroy's around there. He was there, I think this is 13th season, as a bit like David Moore on the Kerry side of it. And his understudy, if we could use that particular term, Killian McDade, has also been impressive. So whereas I hope and expect Kerry to win, if we wake up on Monday morning and Galway are the All-Ireland champions, don't be totally surprised by that. As I said, there's a strong tradition of football there. And they have made changes, that Cian O'Neill has now been brought in. And Cian O'Neill, who is head of a few departments in MTU and was involved with the Cork footballers last year, he has imposed his kind of defensive formation. They are playing with a bit more steel. And of course, they have Bernard Dunn, the former boxer, also involved with them. So it's going to be an incredible day for both of those counties, as was last Sunday for Kilkenny and Limerick. So the main thing is that we get a good game of football. And yeah, I know you're going to be wearing the colour of the Trwbs on Sunday afternoon, but that's all part of sport. Anyway, I suppose sometimes when you do something like this and nobody's taking any notice, you can do a bit of self-indulgence if you wish. For Temple GA Club, it's going to be some special day for them. Like I suppose those of you that would know Temple would associate with the Three Spillane brothers, a tiny place, no primary school, pitch is about 4 or 5 miles out from Kinmare town. And on Sunday there's going to be the 4 players on the county panel, the 2 Spillanes, Killian and Adrian, then you've Tadhg Morley and Gavin Crowley. As well as that, there's claim being put out for Shawnee O'Shea from Kinmare. His mother is a Temple lady, Lydia Noonan, and David Clifford's grandmother, and Paddy Clifford's grandmother, Breeden Ash, comes from that tiny little enclave down there. And of course we couldn't let the occasion pass, I suppose, without mentioning what a special day would be for Pat Spillane, also from that neck of the woods, who after 30 years of absolutely incredible punditry, I would suggest, has decided that that'll be his last game, and hopefully he signs off with a couple of medals heading down the road with him. But that's that side of it. But thankfully time has come around again, and the Cork this weekend, we'll talk about hurling next weekend, the Cork 4 main football championships, throw in if you wish, sponsored by the Bon Secura. And the way the football operates, there's 4 championships, 3 teams, 12 teams in 3 of them, and 16 teams in the intermediate A. Now basically in Cork what they have done is that there's groups of 4, so what you have really is a championship within every group. The top 2 teams qualify for the knockout stages, and about 77% of the teams that end up in the bottom will find themselves in a relegation battle. And as we found out last year, not alone does every match count, not alone does every save count, every score will count, because score difference comes into these matches. There's 26 of them being played, and they will start actually tonight in the meeting between Glenmort and St. Nick's in the Intermediate A Football Championship. And In that particular championship, there are 16 teams. Now, at the end of the year, 4 of them are going to be relegated down to Premier Junior, which does exist in hurling, will exist in football from next year on, and it will be made up of the 4 that will be relegated, plus the 8 divisional junior football champions, and that's why this year's divisional junior football championships are incredibly important, incredibly competitive. And I was just looking at the fixture list. We've 26 games taking place this weekend in the Cork football championships. There are about 24 at least taking place right throughout the divisions. So what an incredible time, 50 championship matches, and anybody, yes, I should mention, of course, these championships are going to take about 13 weeks to complete, and any Cork person in particular that understands the club scene and thinks that the inter-county season should be extended is either completely self-serving, and there are a few of them out there, or hasn't a notion or a feeling for what it means to be involved in a club. And there are some serious operators out there going down this road, but thankfully there's balance now being brought forward to that discussion, and people realise that, okay, sure, like if we wanted promotion, we'd have inter-county all year round. If we get about club, rugby went down that road, clubs diminished, can't happen in GA, end of. So what we'll do is we might look at some of these matches, and we'll go through the championships for you. In the Premier Senior, the first group I'm going to talk about is the Bears, Rogue, Cabri and Carrigaline. Now, what do we call the people that seed them? These groups are supposed to be seeded, and this weekend the top 2 in each group are playing in the bottom 2. So it's beyond important, if you like, for the bottom 2, because if they lose, in theory at least, they should be in big trouble. But we know about seeding, and there is no such thing as it even being remotely close to pure science. So if a team in the bottom 2 lose this weekend, I wouldn't say that their season is completely over and that they're involved in relegation. But that's why it is, that's why it is an incredibly competitive and well-structured championship. Anyway, on Friday evening, the Bears play a Rogan Park Arena at 7:30. There are, I think it's 7 games on, 1 game Thursday night that we mentioned, 7 Friday, I think 10 Saturday and 7 Sunday. And 6 of the Sunday ones are on at 7 o'clock after the All-Ireland. So the Bears play a Rogue, and Conor McCricard won't be playing for them. The down player will be going back. Stephen Sherlock, a big discussion around him. He had an operation after the Cork and Dublin game. May not be able to play, but the Bears will be hoping he'll come back. Now, of course, I should have mentioned as well, if I had a brain, that we're not too sure how these teams are, how they're going to play really, because you have some of the students are on the J1. What a beautiful name for that thing. J1 visa. Some of you of the more older vintage will remember heading off from college days to do serious work to earn money. This seems to be a rite of passage where I better be careful about this. Look, we'll drive on. But I'd say they have a real good time spending somebody else's money. But these J1 legends could be missing for the first round of the football and maybe the first round of the hurling. So and then you have the injury situation. So until these matches are played or until the teams line up, we won't be able to make a proper prediction, not if we ever could. But anyway, I think the Bears should be there. Rogue are missing a few as well. Cabri Rangers and Carrigaline, that game goes on Saturday, and this is a serious match for these two. They were both poor last year, Carrigaline more so, but they have both shown a little bit of improvement. So on that grounds, I think I'd go for Carrigaline in that one on Saturday in Bandon. In the second group, which is really, really so close, it's made up of Douglas and Valley Rovers, who played each other so often. Then you have Mallow and Ballincollig. Douglas and Valley Rovers playing Friday night, and Shawnee Powter is gone. Would that be the vital ingredient there? The teams have been so close over the last couple of years, it's impossible to call that one. Ballincollig, coached by Podsy O'Mahony, should get the better of Mallow. That game goes on Saturday in Mourneabbey. And the final group in the Premier Senior, and this is an incredible group if you wish, is made up of Clan, Castlehaven, Nemo Rangers and Noosastown. And at 7 o'clock, on Saturday, first of all, you have Nemo Rangers taking on Noosastown and Brinny, and you'd have to say Nemo Rangers there in Dow. On Sunday evening, the West Cork Derby, 7 o'clock in Rosscarbery. Clonakilty were the team in last year's county final. I think Castlehaven will beat them. But this morning when I was talking to some great Clonakilty supporter, I just mentioned something like you'd want to be a bit careful if we, end up in relegation. I'm not calling you. Only that this is a family show, I can't repeat what he said to me. Anyway, in the Senior A, which is a great competition as well, the three groups again, you have Island Rovers, Clyde, Newmarket and O'Donovan, Rossa. Island Rovers play Clyde. That game goes on Saturday evening, Kilmurray. Clyde Rovers, again, injury situations. Somebody said they don't score much. Island Rovers are the team that were relegated down. It's so hard to call that one. It could be a draw. But Island Rovers would be happy if they got over that one, no doubt about that. Then you have Newmarket, Northern and Rossa, and Newmarket were the surprise packets winning the Premier Intermediate Championship last year. And don't tell them I said that, but I think they should find it going tough against Northern and Rossa in that one. In the second group, Ballingeary, Donnies, Bandon and Kishgame. Ballingeary play Donnies, and remember, Ballingeary won the Pell Comoters and Gaeltacht for the first time, and Donnies did a great season last year, but I just think that maybe Ballingeary would be slight fancies there. It goes on in Inniskeen on Friday night, and the other game on Friday night is between Bandon and Kishgame, and Sean Mean hopefully will be in action here. I think that Kishgame, to play in Clondroho, just have a bit much for them. The third group here is really competitive, and the match of the weekend could be St. Michael's and Knocknagree and Clondroho on Saturday evening. This is the John Finton Daily coach, Knocknagree side. Rumours circulating that it may be his last year in charge, and how he'd love to progress up into the very top level of football in Cork. But St. Michael's, who are the incredible team that they keep coming back year after year, despite being losing. Check up the number of finals they've lost, and they still come back for more. Bishopstown play for Moy in the same competition again Friday evening at 7:30. I would expect Bishopstown to win that one. In the Premier Intermediate grade, again the three groups here. You've Kilnamartyr, Nemo Rangers, St. Vincent's and Ivlera. Kilnamartyr play Nemo Rangers, and I would have to say that game goes on one of the Sunday evening games. I'd have to fancy. Game goes on in Clido, I'd have to fancy Kilnamartyr there. Ivlera, the last time they were beaten was, when they run out on the Brinny pitch on Sunday evening at 7 o'clock, it will be 1,002 days unbeaten since they lost in November as a junior team to Kilshannig in the Junior County Championship. And here they are now, just one grade, if you like, behind Senior and Cork, 2 consecutive victories. But St. Vincent's will be a tough nut to crack, and it should be a good game. If Chris O'Jones is available and injury free, I kind of fancy Ivlera. It would probably be the longest championship winning or unbeaten run in the history of club football in Cork. In Group 2, Bantry, Ahad and a piercing Castonbear, and it's maybe a slight flaw in that 3 teams in here have been together for the last 3 years. But look, it's only a minor detail, I suppose. Bantry play Ahad in Ovens, and Bantry were relegated, and they will do well, I think, to win here. Ahad, I know they keep hurling going down there in East Cork as well, but I have a slight fancy for them in that one. That game goes on in Ovens on Saturday at 4 o'clock, and at the same time in Knockaville, Castleton-Bear and a Piercing. Well, I was going to say you'll be guaranteed maybe a green colour and a white colour for the flag, but you might be guaranteed a few other colours as well. It should be a real competitive match. Again, both of them would want to win. The third group here, Kanturk are the dominant team, and that they play Navavon in Mill Street. So I'd expect Kanturk to win that one. That's Saturday evening at 4, and then on Friday evening Macroom play Rockchapel, and I suppose both of them will see this as a game we need to win, because both of them will probably lose to Kanturk. So there's your Premier Intermediate. By the way, I hope you're not taking notes, because you could be using all this against me at some other stage. Then we come to the Intermediate A football, and I said to you earlier on, 4 groups. The bottom team in each group is relegated to the Premier Junior. So is this going to be seriously competitive? In Group 1 we have Kilshannig playing Ballydesmond. I'd expect Kilshannig to win that. It does depend again, I know, on an injury situation. That game goes on in Bantier on Saturday, and Sunday at 7 o'clock, Gabriel Rangers in Adrigole. It's a West Cork derby, and do you know what, I have a slight fancy. There was a time when these two would be in different grades altogether, but Adrigole have come down, Gabriel Rangers have maybe come up a little bit, and maybe Gabriel Rangers will go another bit the next day. I think they could get over that one. The second group here, as we mentioned, Nix, Glenmore, Glenville and Kildare. Nix and Glenmore open the championship Thursday night. I think Glenmore will beat them, which would be a bit of a disaster for St. Nix, because they have been on the way down for quite a while. Well, not for, I suppose, since this came in. So this is a match they would really like to win. Kildare and Glenville. Kildare, maybe they'll get some solace, some survival on the last day last year. They'd lost every match, were favourites to lose against Kinsale, won that one. That might give them an impetus. Sometimes you will find that with teams that go close to relegation, when they sit near the bacon slicer, they can drive on the following year. So yeah, I expect that one to be a really good game. The other group here, Mitchelstown and Mill Street, I expect Mitchelstown to win. That game goes on Sunday at 7 in Ballyclaw. And Boherbue up from junior take on Glenmire. In theory, Glenmire should be about 2 grades up, but I don't know why it doesn't happen down there, but it doesn't. But they probably should win this one. And finally, in the 4th group here, the top 2 teams, if you like, according to the seeding, you have Ahabullock playing Drumtarif. I expect Ahabullock to be just slightly here there. That goes on Friday at 7:30 in Dunamore as well, and on Sunday at 7 o'clock, Ballinor and St. Finbarrs. Depends on a couple of things. How many the Bars lose on Thursday, on Friday night. But Ballinor have young players coming through. That should be a considered close one as well. Moving to Camogie, and this is a big weekend in terms of the All-Ireland semi-finals. And on Saturday you have Cork playing Waterford. I think Cork would, well, when the draws were made, they got Waterford rather than Kilkenny, which I think they'll be happy with, because even though Laura Tracy's back, Aisling Thompson's 2-game suspension is being appealed. I'm not too sure they'll get it off before next Sunday, but it would be important to get it down to 1 match, because she'd be a vital player for them. Anyway, I expect them to beat Waterford in that one, and Galway and Kilkenny then in the other one. And there, we've always said Cork and Kilkenny and Galway are the 3 teams in it. You also have the intermediate semi-finals in Camogie, and they go on Sunday, I know, and there's a Galway team taking part. They play Meath at 2 o'clock. I presume, it should be over, but you'd imagine that maybe it should have been a little bit earlier to allow the Galway players in particular to watch the football final. And Cork take on Derry, and even though the Derry beat Cork in big earlier, I expect Cork maybe to I do expect them to put up a better fight than that, and I think they have a good chance of qualifying for the final. It would be great if you 2 Cork teams on the final, on the All-Ireland final day. And then finally we have a brief look at the soccer scenario in the League of Ireland. Cork City, a game list played, a point ahead of Galway, and this weekend they travelled to Wexford on Friday night, and at the same time Cove Ramblers, beaten again last week, I think it was 5-1 or 5-0, play Bray, and they're only just a point above the bottom team, so certainly Cove would need to start winning a match or 2. But anyway, I suppose, look, the big story is the All-Ireland football final. Say no more about that. And it's the commencement of the club championship in Cork, and we look forward to a really, really great journey until county final day, whenever that will be played in October. I hope we can bring you a little bit of enlightenment to them. If we left anybody out or made any number of mistakes, we apologise for that. So until the next time, take care and enjoy. And I suppose what I would think about this is that, ignore those pundits who tell you that the GA finishes on All Ireland final day. There are matches and there are great club games, and all it means is just getting out there and supporting your local team or watching other matches. It's a great championship. We're delighted that it is starting this weekend. So until the next time, take care.